Politics lead, she has a new book out about the meaning of Christmas, or at least what it means to her. And I could say something here like Sarah Palin is back, but the truth is, as you and I know, the former Alaska governor and former vice presidential candidate never really left. I sat down with Governor Palin just a short time ago, earlier today, and with all the talk about elephants in the room, to steal a phrase from Time magazine, of course I had to ask for her unvarnished take on 2016.
So I know you wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if she ran for president, but I remember in 2008, after you got the nod, you talked about the unfair media treatment that Hillary Clinton got when she was running for president.
Yes.
And you probably feel like you got some of that unfair media treatment as well. Sexism. If there's any woman out there thinking of running for president, what can she expect?
She could expect that sexism, but you overcome it. You know, you ignore it. You do thicken your skin, and you march forth with your message, your priorities, your agenda that you believe is right for America. Yeah, Hillary Clinton was mistreated when it came to appearances, when it came to wardrobe, you know, petty, superficial things that the men don't ever seem to hear much about, but a woman candidate will.
Governor Christie hears about his appearance.
That's because it's been extreme, okay? So it's hard for some people not to comment on it. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, though, I'll never forget Bill Clinton saying about Barack Obama and his story, his agenda, you know, that it was the biggest fairy tale he'd ever seen, and he was right, because Barack Obama was not qualified, he was not prepared, and that the manifestation of that today is the problem that we see left and right in our economy.
You obviously feel very passionate about these issues. Why are you not in office anymore? Why don't you run for Senate? There's a Senate seat coming up.
Oh my goodness, because there are millions and millions of good Americans who have the ability and desire to serve, and you know, I want to help find those people and help propel them into positions of leadership. But
don't you think you could have more of an influence?
I am one to know that you don't need a title, you don't need a position to make a difference.
Obviously, the Republican Party is going through a debate right now about where its soul is. I saw an article over the weekend, Senator John McCain, your friend and former running mate, talking about how some people were urging him to run for president again in 2016. It doesn't sound like he's necessarily interested in it, but he is talking about how the government shutdown, in his view, was a mistake, and how there are some people who think he could help right the ship. If it weren't for your relationship with him, I can't help but think that you would, that he personifies things that you don't like.
Well, Senator McCain and I have never been shy about expressing the fact that we agree to disagree on some issues. But, you know, I have respect for his service, not only to our country in the military, but in the Senate. And I will never badmouth Senator McCain. I have no desire to. I have no, there's no need for me to do so.
I don't want you to, and I admire your loyalty to him. I guess I'm just saying, the divide right now between the establishment Republicans who want to compromise, who want to do deals, whether it's immigration reform, whether it's the budget. John McCain is hated by a lot of the people who love you.
Well, I want the Republican Party, kind of that leadership of the machine of the party, to really stiffen its spine and not be squishy on some of these issues, because this time in America when we're on a path towards bankruptcy, we can't afford to be squishy on issues unless common sense conservatives get together and vote in leaders who understand how important it is to defend our republic and protect the Constitution.
Leaders like Ted Cruz, you've spoken very...
I absolutely am on Team Ted Cruz and Senator Mike Lee, Rand Paul, these guys who, they're merely fulfilling their campaign promises. People had to focus on what Obamacare really entailed because Ted Cruz had the guts to stand up on the Senate floor and say, look, this is bad for our country. This will bankrupt our country. It's taking over 1/6 of our economy and it's stripping our freedoms. And I'm thankful that he did what he did, and I disagree with those who say that it was a mistake for our senators to stand up and fight for America. Again, just fulfilling their campaign promises.
Mitch McConnell has said no more government shutdowns. He didn't think it was a smart idea. If you were advising Senate Republicans, would you encourage them to do it?
What shutdown? What shutdown? It was a
partial shutdown.
17-day slim down. No, a 16-day slim down of about 17% of the government. We need to rein in government. I mean, when is the time finally for people to open their eyes and for the media to open its eyes? What is the time and the magic number when it comes to debt, when it comes to this trajectory of government growth, for people to say, we do need to start slimming this thing down?
You obviously feel very passionate about the national debt. The other day you gave a speech in which you compared it to slavery.
To slavery, yes. And that's not a racist thing to do, by the way, which I know somebody's going to claim it is.
Don't you ever fear that by using hyperbole like that, obviously you don't literally mean it's like slavery, which cost millions of people their lives, and there was rape and torture. You're using it as a metaphor, but don't you ever worry that by using that kind of language, you risk obscuring the point you're trying to make?
There is another definition of slavery, and that is being beholden to some kind of master that is not of your choosing. And yes, the national debt will be like slavery when the note comes due. So
you're not worried. I mean, I'm taking it as a no, that you're not concerned about the language.
I'm not one to be politically correct, evidently, and okay. No, I don't worry about things like that, because no matter what I say, no matter what a lot of conservatives say, they'll be targeted, and distractions will be attempted to be made to take the listener and the viewer's mind off what the point is by pointing out, oh, she said the word slavery in a speech, and I did say the word slavery because I want to make a point.
But you can understand why African Americans or others might be offended by it, though.
I can, if they choose to misinterpret what it is that I'm saying. And again, I'm sure if we opened up a dictionary, we could prove that with semantics that are various, we can prove that there is a definition of slavery that absolutely fits the bill there when I'm talking about a bankrupt country that will owe somebody something down the line. If we don't change things, that is, we will be shackled. We will be a slave to those whom we owe.
When we come back, she's always been open about her faith, but there's one specific moment in Sarah Palin's life that stands out, the moment she became born again, and she'll share that story. I'm Jake Tapper, and now we continue with more of our interview with former Republican vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin. As children giddily count down to the holiday season and the stacks of presents that come with it, former Republican vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin's out to fight back against what she sees as a war on Christmas waged by the ACLU and atheists. She's so inspired that she wrote a book about it, out today. It's titled Good Tidings and Great Joy, Protecting the Heart of Christmas, and it explores the controversial aspects of publicly celebrating Christianity. I asked Palin about the book and the message it sends to those who do not share her faith.
So, Good Tidings, Great Joy, Protecting the Heart of Christmas, a book you wrote. It's one part love letter to Christmas and what the holiday has meant to you, and another part a treatise about what you think is going wrong with atheists and others, in your view, declaring war on Christmas.
The Scrooges declaring war on Christmas, yes.
So how is there a war on Christmas?
You see the ACLU letters that get sent around to all the school districts now, warning them, you better not acknowledge that Jesus is the reason for the season, and don't, heaven forbid, you sing a song about Bethlehem or Silent Night, because somebody may take offense.
About 1 in 5 Americans does not identify as a Christian. Can you understand why somebody who is not a self-identified Christian would feel uncomfortable with demonstration of something from the Bible, from the New Testament, coming from the government, coming from a public school? Because to them that might feel like their government is picking a religion and it's not theirs.
Well, there are things that we can do about that to, I guess, lessen that offense. We can do that in our personal lives. For instance, in my family, we have the menorah out through December on our kitchen table. I want to teach my children about the Jewish faith.
What do you make of Pope Francis? What do you think of him?
I'm kind of trying to follow what his agenda is. You know, I'm surprised that he came out with a couple of things in the media, but then again, I'm not one to trust the media's interpretation of somebody's message. But having read through media outlets that he's had some statements that to me sound kind of liberal, has taken me aback. It's kind of surprised me. But there again, you know, unless I really dig deep into what his messaging is and do my own homework, I'm not going to just trust what I hear in the media.
Well, I said earlier I was surprised by your devotion of faith, how much you talk about it in the book. Just because politicians don't talk about it very often. I still think of you as a politician, Governor. If you'll forgive me.
That hurts. Oh, that hurts.
What church do you go to? What is your belief system?
Go to a Bible-believing church up there in Wasilla that's non-denominational.
Are you born again?
Yeah. I mean, when I was a young girl, I remember looking around the beauty of Alaska. Remember one summer at a summer camp, looking around at our mountain ranges and the beautiful lakes and this creation, and knowing, even as a kid, wow, there is something greater than self, and whomever it is that created this certainly must know better than I how to direct my life. I put my life in God's hands at that time.
This was a moment, an actual...
Yeah, it was an actual moment.
How old were you?
I was about 12. Yeah, I remember calling out to God and saying, I believe you, because I see God in my surroundings up there in Alaska. Really, it's hard to escape it. And realizing, again, that my Creator would have purpose for me, because there's purpose in everything. And then just through these years, a progression towards stronger and stronger faith, that is what I have had to, thankfully, go back to. So often, Jake, I find myself on my knees calling out to God for assistance, for help, for encouragement.
What kinds of things have you been through that you've needed God for?
Well, about 5.5 years ago, when I was 12 weeks pregnant and my doctor said your child will be born with Down syndrome, that was a moment of calling out to God, saying, really, God? You promise in your word in the Bible that you'll never give us something that we can't handle, and I don't think that I'm equipped to handle this. It took me many months to come around to the idea of, yeah, he isn't going to give me something that I can't handle, meaning I'll be able to handle this.
How is that beautiful little boy? How's he doing?
He is the most precious, perfect little rowdy boy. I mean, he's like any other little 5-year-old. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Wouldn't trade anything about him for the world. And see, 5.5 years ago, I don't know if I could have said that. You know, when I first heard what was coming, I didn't know if, but today, no, I wouldn't change anything about our boy.
You write in the book very candidly about when Bristol came to you.
Yeah, at first blush, you know, the impulse was, what, you're pregnant? Well, that's not supposed to happen, for one, and two, so when are you going to get married and take responsibility and raise your new family here, Bristol? And the other guy, and Todd is the one, who held back and said, no, not so fast. And we didn't agree right off the bat on how things we thought should shake out for our daughter and our grandson, but time has absolutely proven Todd right on that one.
You had some not super flattering comments to make about Levi the other day. Has this opened your eyes as to what single mothers go through in this country?
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of them obviously don't have the family that you and Todd provide,
family, right.
and money,
right.
And
well, the comment that I made about Tripp's father was, deadbeat dads, and that I'm so tired of deadbeat dads being put on a pedestal. But yes, again, a circumstance like that, less than ideal, has taught our family to keep eyes and hearts and minds open to what other people go through. Bristol's a great example of yes, she appreciates so much the network of support that she has, but here she goes to school, she works, she's raising this child on her own. But Jake, it is such a tough life. It is, you know, it maybe sounds cliche, but it's so true. It's not something to strive for, that single motherhood, because like Bristol has always said, you know, that baby isn't just some accessory on your hip, a cute little thing to be carrying around. Your life has changed now. You're no longer living for yourself, and at such a young age, it's hard to be ready for that.
Our thanks to former Governor Palin. Coming up next.